How far is Solana going to crash? We've had a big move to the downside, new price information. We got CPI, Consumer Price Index announcement on the 10th, and crypto's been very sensitive to this over the last few months. So how far is it going to go? Well, today we're going to look at the macro thesis on the fear and greed buying and selling behavior, and you're going to be able to see something that you've never seen before, and that's going to prepare you for what's very likely to occur. So if you like today's video, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. Let's dive into Solana. All right, Solana and all markets. Very, very important that you take this seriously. Most people don't realize it, but most markets, pretty much all markets, move in fives, 5 waves up, 3 waves down. That's the most typical. The reverse is also true for different market conditions. So when we're looking at Solana, since January 2021, we had this nice move to the upside, a classic wave 2. We projected this in advance. If we go back and look at the content, nice wave 3, very, very aggressive, classic wave 4, and then we had this wave 5. And after a 5-wave section like we see over here, what typically occurs is a 3-wave correction, A, B, C. When we're looking at the macro thesis, look at this textbook here, nice wave A. We've had this big correction in between called a wave B, and it looks like we're on this wave C. And we're going to focus on this today, because it's going to be a game changer for you, because you want to really see the markets from an objective, non-emotional way, where you can have price data that tells you how the market is feeling. And there's been a new low, basically, a new low that's going to tell us what's very likely to occur. And by the way, if you want to become one of my students and work closer with me, my private community, my private workshops, take my 4 secrets masterclass. It's free, but it really gives you a gateway into understanding the markets, and see if you want to work closer with me and become one of my students. So with Solana, right? So let's just zoom in now. We're going to zoom into this part of the market. We're going to break it down. So waves, between the waves, in the waves, and the waves. Like what? All right, degrees of waves. So we've got this wave C, right, in the blue line, right? This over here, right? This is the wave C that we're calling it. This typically breaks down to a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the yellow. And now we're in this final phase, and it looks like we've got something called an ending 5th wave diagonal. They're not that common, but when they occur, they can be quite aggressive, but they can be also quite aggressive on the reversal. So we want to be on high alert over the next few weeks. We might see a good reversal to the upside, and I'm going to show you why. So we're going to look at the market from the perspective of the 4 secrets. So we're going to talk about pattern. Pattern we're going to use very heavily, and we're going to use price. They're 2 of the 4 secrets, pattern and price. And what I've got drawn on the charts right now is called Elliott wave theory. It's a way of reading the market psychology that's practical to trade with. In other words, it's a leading indicator that shows what's very likely to occur next. So you can bet on the downside, short the market, and bet on the long side and long the market, depending on what you think is going to happen next. And this analysis that I'm going to do today, you can actually get access to this chart. It's view only, but you can also upload it into your trading view. It's in the description link below. It's free. You'll see I got Solana over here. You'll see this page over here. And yeah, it'll be literally this exact chart. So I'll make sure I save it at the end. So what we're going to do is 2 things. We want to pay massive attention to this wave 4, because this is a corrective. We said this months ago, right? This is a corrective pattern. This was back in June, July, a nice corrective pattern to the upside. And when you see overlapping waves like this, you normally get a continuation and a new low. Now, we weren't sure if we're going to get the new low, because that last movement that we had looked quite impulsive. However, with this new low, which can go into in a bit more detail in a second, that gives us new valuable information on how the market is feeling with Solana. And, Ethereum's gone down, Bitcoin's gone down, there's nice reversals happening. I want to pay massive attention to that as well. So now let's just zoom into this section, really, really paying close attention onto this part of the market, because this is going to tell us some very valuable information. So now we're going to use the tool of Fibonacci price. Now, what was just discovered, Fibonacci ratio show up in nature time and time again, and it was also shown to show up in mass crowd psychology. So crowd psychology is what we're measuring over here. So let's just get rid of this blue line for a second. We don't need that right now. We can get rid of this yellow line as well. as we'll keep the count there. We'll just get rid of the line so we get just a bit more focus. So we're going to do something, it's really going to be two main things. Something called an external retracement. This is the most common behavior between wave 4 and the end of wave 5. In other words, this is the wave 4, and then what we look like we have on our hands is this wave 5. There's a particular price ratio, and what we're going to do is something called an external retracement. I cover this more in detail in the masterclass, so I'm going to do it relatively fast. And there's two key ratios you want to be aware of, which are very reliable. 1.272 and 1.618 is the most common, most typical. So what this tells us in advance, and we did this months ago, right? But now we've got this new low, is looking likely. It says that the price is likely to go into this range over the coming weeks, right? Over the coming weeks. That's what it tells us. But now we can get a bit more precise. So now we're going to zoom in a bit more, right? And we've got this, what looks like to be an ending fifth wave diagonal. It's the only condition where a wave 5 has overlapping waves, right? It's the only condition. So it's ending fifth wave diagonal. It's not that common. So we've got this move here. It looks like the first move down, and it looks like a clean correction. But this wave 3 doesn't look like a typical wave 3 because it overlaps into the wave 1, which is not common. That's why it's an ending fifth wave diagonal. And we've got this sharp decline, and we've got this new low over here. And that's what indicates we're getting this movement to the downside. So we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to do two more things here. We're going to do the external retracement one more time for wave 4, but this time of the more local, smaller degree wave 4. This one over here. Right? Hopefully that makes sense. And by the way, if you watch my yesterday's video, you know, what we initially thought with Solana was this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're going to get some type of correction to the downside. And then we got this and then this. We said, okay, looking at this, this might be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like this. But because we were anticipating this move to the downside, but because it's taken out this low, that means we have to reevaluate. There's something else happening, and it wasn't what we originally anticipated, because you know it could have been a correction and then a move to the downside. So to really win in trading, if you're trading the market seriously, you have to stay flexible and nimble and not like have a fixed opinion on what you think is going to happen. It's just literally the market price action tells us what is happening. And when certain pattern positions occur, you're like, okay, that voids the previous thesis. Now we need to reevaluate the market. And that's what we're doing right now. So we're going to do this again. We're going to basically measure this, what looks like to be now an ABC wave 4. And we're going to get another external retracement, the same ratios, but what we're looking for is a cluster. And this will make sense in just a second. And by the way, I'm telling you, man, if you're serious about making money from the market long term, the 4 secrets is an absolute must if you want to work closer with me, because I'm just here to help you and educate you, because I've been doing this for 15 years, right? So everything is difficult before it's easy. But man, this stuff is just so powerful. I can't believe more people don't use it, are not aware of it. So I'm doing my best to educate you. So here we go. We got this external retracement, this low to this high. And the key ratio that we really want, you can see the overlap is the 1.618, right? You can see an overlap over here. So now what this does for us is it narrows the price target. So if I just zoom, I just want to narrow this box now, because obviously it's going to occur after this date. And at this point, this is a very key, significant ratio for us. All right. Good. All right, I'm just going to pull up I want the wave 1 to 5 over here. Okay, cool. We got this. Brilliant. All right, so now we're going to do something called end of wave 5 targets. Even though it's an ending fifth wave diagonal, that's what it looks like anyway. We're going to measure wave 1 to wave 3. This is a very important relationship to wave 5. So we're basically we're gonna measure what looks like to be the wave 1 to wave 3 and project it from wave 5. And there's really 3 ratios. There's 2 common ones, but then you have something called an overextension. So we want to be aware. And again, what we're looking for is a cluster where these price ratios cluster over each other. And then we can also look at this on a lower degree time frame. We won't do that today, but when this breaks down to a 5-wave structure in itself, that can also cluster as well. So we're going to just do an end of wave 5 price projection. So I'm just going to take this high over here. We're going to take this low from what we're calling a wave 4 up here. And the two key ratios we're going to use today is normally it's 38.2, but we can see we've well exceeded that already. 62%, we've well exceeded that already, or is at least in the zone. And what we'll do is actually we'll do two things. We'll keep that 1.272 because we've got two zones over here now. So we've got this zone, price zone, which is highly probable. Now we're talking about what we're talking about. What price we're talking about here? We're talking about $20, right? We said this months ago, $20, and it was based on this analysis. It's not ETH, Solana likely to hit $20, and people thought I was crazy. But the reason I said it months ago was purely because of this price movement here. Weren't sure if it was going to happen in the end, but this overlapping price movement, we just simply did the external retracement, which was this ratio. And we said, right, it's likely to hit it. But because it had this kind of correction and this kind of weak wave 3, we thought, I'm not sure if it's going to hit. But now we've got this. It's looking very likely it's going to kind of come down to this range over here. So let's just finish up with just one more projection because you're going to get access to this chart. So I just want to make it as useful as possible. Right, we've got two price ratios over here. Yeah, so it's looking like. So what I want to do is let's just focus on this last part of the move, so we can get really clear. It's looking like we've got this last part of a wave 4 in the yellow, right? We've got this wave 4. And it looks like this last part of the wave 5 is breaking down to a fifth wave diagonal. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then this impulsive move to the downside. And it's looking to complete. So the good news is, after a fifth wave diagonal, you'll tend to get, it tends to be quite aggressive. A big movement to the upside. Now, we're not sure how fast it will happen in the coming weeks, but that's typically what happens. That's what happened with Bitcoin, by the way. We had an ending fifth wave diagonal back last year in April, go on the upside, and then we had a sharp decline, and the reverse is often true as well. Is there anything else that I need to cover here? So we've got price, we've got pattern. Let's drop down to a 60-minute chart, right? We're going to drop down to a 60-minute chart. This is a 1-hour chart, right? And what we're going to look at is, this looks quite aggressive, right? This looks very aggressive. Let me just get rid of everything, and I just want to show you this, because what seems to be happening, what we're looking at is applied crowd psychology. Applied crowd psychology. And what seems to be happening, we said this yesterday as well, is we've got this initial move down, a move up, and then we've got this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a move up, right? So these are corrections. So I would see this as a potential wave 1, potential wave 2, shallow wave 2, and then a steep wave 3. Or, we don't need to get too anal about it. The main thing to note is the trend is down, the daily momentum is down, the pattern is down, we've broken a recent low. So really, only really considering short trade setups on any pullback like this. If we get another pullback like this, considering short trade setups. But keep in mind, we've got the CPI announcement on the 10th, which is a couple of days away, which the market can be quite sensitive to as well. So if you want access to the chart, especially the daily analysis, you can now get that for free. It's in the description. Check out the 4 Secrets Masterclass. It will just allow you to understand the markets much better from a mechanical, objective, non-emotional manner. So whether it's Solana, Bitcoin, or any other asset, this buying and selling behavior tends to apply time and time again. So I'm going to finish with a quote today. It's one of my favorites, but I think it's really relevant, which is, the trend is your friend. Ride it until its end, until it reaches its bend. And right now, especially that we've broken that low, Solana trend is down. And we're probably going to see it continue down for at least a few more days, if not longer. And that $20 mark, we're probably going to test that $20 mark. But we will be looking for a trend reversal, because Solana's got a lot of interest, and I believe they had a new big partnership announcement recently as well. So a lot of eyeballs on this. So it's going to be very undervalued, and an ending fifth wave diagonal, normally the reversals tend to be sharp. So we're going to be on high alert for long opportunities, short-term, short opportunities, but then long opportunities to follow in the coming weeks. So there you have it. Solana, from a technical standpoint, looking bearish, but $20 is probably the mark that we're going to look for, and then be on high alert for trend reversals to the upside.